On December 28, 2022, Andrew Tate sat down in front of a camera, wrapped in a Versace robe, smoking a cigar. He was responding to a tweet from climate activist Greta Thunberg. He had just publicly bragged about his 33 cars and their enormous emissions. The response from Thunberg went viral almost instantly. 3 million likes in hours, one of the most viewed exchanges in the platform's history. 2 days later, Andrew Tate was arrested by Romanian authorities. A rumor spread across the internet. It was the pizza box. A Romanian fast food chain visible in his response video confirmed his location. His garage, the thing he was so proud of, the symbol of everything he'd built, had, according to the theory, become part of the chain of events that led directly to handcuffs. But here's the detail that almost nobody focuses on. The authorities later stated this was false. To ascertain whether a person is in the country or not, we use a range of means, said Ramona Bola, a spokeswoman for Romania's anti-organized crime unit. The arrest was the culmination of a months-long investigation that began in April 2022. And the pizza box was a coincidence that made for a better story than the months of police work that led to the handcuffs. That is what makes Andrew Tate's car collection unlike any other on the internet. It isn't just a collection, it's a character. And like everything else about Tate, the story is far more complicated than the highlight reel. The garage as a weapon. Most collectors buy cars privately, discreetly. They acquire, they store, they occasionally show. Tate built his garage the opposite way, loudly, publicly, and intentionally. Each car posted on social media was a message to his critics, to his fans, and to anyone who doubted where he came from. He grew up in Luton, England. Not a wealthy background. His father was a chess master but rarely present. His first real money came from kickboxing, 4 world titles. But kickboxers don't get rich. The serious money came later through online business, courses, and eventually a network that generated, by some estimates, millions of dollars a month. The cars arrived in waves, each one bigger and louder than the last. And unlike most rich men who buy privately and drive quietly, Tate made the acquisition part of the content. But before we get to the cars that define his collection now, we need to talk about what the authorities took first. The seizure. The $3.9 million moment. When Romanian police raided Tate's compound in December 2022, they didn't just arrest him. They drove away in his cars. 15 high-end vehicles, seized as potential criminal assets. Among them, a Lamborghini Huracan Evo Spider, a Bentley Continental GT, a Rolls-Royce Wraith Black Badge, blue-black with suicide doors worth around $380,000. An Aston Martin Vanquish S Ultimate, originally finished in xenon gray, later wrapped in midnight red, housing a 6.0-liter 5, 12 and 603 horsepower. In total, the confiscated vehicles were valued as part of a broader seizure of 3.6 million euros, cars, watches, gold bars, and cash. All frozen pending the outcome of the legal case. But here's what that seizure tells you about the collection. He didn't slow down. He didn't disappear. He did something very few people in his position would do. He went back to the dealerships. The Bugatti Chiron Sport, the car that became a meme. Before the seizure, before Romania, the car that made Tate famous in the car world wasn't his rarest or his most expensive. It was his Bugatti Chiron Sport, custom copper-colored. One of only 60 ever made. He secured number 18 on the production list. The Chiron Sport is, paradoxically, Bugatti's slower Chiron. It's built not for straight-line top speed but for cornering, stiffer suspension, fixed rear wing, sharper steering. The base price was 3 million euros, but after taxes, shipping, and customizations, reports suggest Tate paid around $5.2 million for a Bugatti specifically designed to go around corners better, in a world where most people never take their supercars out of first gear. The car sprints from 0 to 62 miles per hour in 2.3 seconds and can reach 218 miles per hour. This was the car he stood next to in that tweet. The car he waved in Greta Thunberg's face. And when authorities came for it, it was reportedly already gone. It had been sent abroad before the raid. Tate had, whether by instinct or preparation, protected his most famous possession. It remains in his collection today. The pink Lamborghini. Image versus reality. Most people assume a man like Tate would own the most aggressive, the most intimidating cars available. Black, chrome, matte gray. And most of his collection does follow that logic. But there is one car in his fleet that consistently throws people off. A pink Lamborghini Huracan Evo Spider. Not a subtle blush. Pink. By his own admission, it's one of his favorites. He posts it regularly. His fans love it. His critics use it against him. But that's the point. The pink Lambo is a deliberate provocation in both directions. To his fans, it signals absolute confidence. To his detractors, it's ammunition. And Tate, who has built an entire career on understanding how attention works, understands exactly what he's doing. The car itself is genuinely spectacular. A naturally aspirated V10, around 610 horsepower, roof that drops in under 17 seconds. Handling that puts most supercars to shame. But nobody who talks about this car talks about the specs. They talk about the color. And Tate knows that too. The Pagani Huayra BC, the car money can't simply buy. This is where the collection moves from loud to genuinely rare. One of only 20 ever produced on the entire planet. Tate's Pagani Huayra BC is finished in Viola Dragone, a deep violet carbon fiber, with a Malevich leather interior. He purchased it through VIP Motors in Dubai, one of the few dealers in the world who can actually source cars like this. He has called it, in his own words, priceless. You can't just buy one even with money. He's not wrong. The Huayra BC isn't sold through normal channels. It's allocated to collectors Pagani deems worthy of the car, a system that exists almost entirely outside the reach of wealth alone. The twin-turbo V12 produces 753 horsepower in standard form. It weighs almost nothing. And there are 19 other human beings on Earth who own one. This is the car Tate sent to Italy for a full Tempesta upgrade, a bespoke performance and aerodynamics package from Pagani themselves. The Tempesta package boosts output to 827 horsepower and includes a redesigned front splitter, a reprofiled rear wing with a central fin, a 6-pipe exhaust system, and enhanced suspension. He then had it privately transported back to Dubai. It is arguably the most legitimate collector's piece in the entire garage. And almost nobody talks about it. The Rimac Nevera and the Koenigsegg Jesko, what he built after the raid. The first thing Tate did after his legal situation began to stabilize was spend. Not cautiously, aggressively. The Rimac Nevera, a Croatian, all-electric hypercar producing 1,877 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 1.74 seconds, the holder of 23 performance world records. His customized specification came in at around $2.2 million. Then a Koenigsegg Jesko Attack, one of 125 ever made, wrapped in crystal white with a Tiffany blue satin finish, a matching two-tone interior, and a built-in G-force meter. He'd booked it before the raid. It was delivered after he was released. And then the Koenigsegg Gamera. He couldn't decide between two colors, so he ordered both. He didn't negotiate. He didn't deliberate. The man who had his collection taken by the state simply bought cars that the state can't take so easily. Cars shipped, stored, and maintained internationally, across multiple jurisdictions. Whether you view that as freedom or something else entirely, depends on what you think of the man behind the wheel. The question, underneath all of it. There is a version of this story where Andrew Tate is a self-made man who understood attention before anyone else did, turned controversy into currency, and built a car collection that rivals most national museums of automotive history. There is another version where the cars are props in a much darker story, symbols of a lifestyle built on exploitation, used as recruitment tools, as proof of what was possible for anyone willing to follow his blueprint. Both versions are believed fiercely by millions of people. What is undeniable is this: the garage exists, the cars are real, the rarity is real. And somewhere between the pink Lamborghini, the one of 20 Pagani, and the pizza box rumor, there is a story about wealth, image, and consequence that no spec sheet can fully capture. Let us know in the comments. What does Andrew Tate's car collection tell you about the man? And subscribe to Drive Directive, because we're not done going inside the world's most extraordinary and controversial garages.